All right, so it should be, I'm just waiting to get the share link. Just not quite done yet, so it's fingers crossed again. Yes, no, maybe so. Awesome. Let me just get this here. Good. So thank you everyone for being here. We're going to get started, like I said, in just a sec. 1 minute. It's all those times when you're like, you want it to go fast, and it's like, it doesn't.
Mm.
Ah,
I watched the pot never boil.
I know, right? It's like, okay, let's just do this. All right. All right, we are set. We are good to go. I've got like all sorts of um, tabs open too for some reason. I don't know how they got all opened, but it's like, okay. Weird. It's weird stuff. That's okay. It's okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Awakened Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Sorry I had to change the time, but sometimes stuff happens, and me and my daughter, we can't both use the internet Zoom at the same time in the same space, so I have to bump my work by an hour, right? So it's like, so thank you for waiting, coming back, because I know some of you have tried to join us a little earlier, but so thank you for coming back. So today we have a brand new guest on the show, new to the show, probably not new to all of you. So today we have Beth Rachel on the show, and we're going to be talking about embracing your inner world to optimize your outer creation. So I'm so excited about that. And some of what is going to happen today is we're going to talk about what shadow alchemy is and why it's so important. We're going to talk about the human psyche and its relationship to ascension. How is the inner universe of each individual unique, and why is this important? Do we really need to process the shadow or remember our trauma in order to heal, evolve, and move forward? And why is healing the unconscious shadow particularly important? We're also going to be doing some live Q&A, so we'll be taking your questions. You can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat. And Beth is going to be taking us through a guided visualization as well. So a lot on the show, so I'm excited. I'm not going to go too much into talking because there's so much to talk about. But for those of you who don't know, Beth Rachel is here to support humanity in activating the original human genome and divine earth blueprint. As a participant in the original planetary design and creation of the Earth, she draws upon her soul and cellular memory to help guide humanity back into alignment. Much of our work is in lifting and integrating the veil between the conscious and unconscious collective human awareness and creating harmony between densities and higher frequencies. So I have to say, I worked with Beth earlier this week, and it was phenomenal. And as some of you know, I have had a lot of shadow experiences in my life, a lot of trauma um, in my life from childhood and up until adulthood and so on. Still dealing with some trauma from the past 2 years, but it is what it is. And so we were able to do some healing, do some clearing, get some awarenesses. Oh my God, it was amazing. And so bringing in frequencies and oh my God, it was amazing. So I do highly recommend if you can get a session with Beth. We're going to talk about that later, but like I said, I just had a session with her on Monday. Phenomenal. I wasn't even expecting a full session. I was just like getting a taste of but it was a full-on session, so I'm so grateful. It was amazing. Um, so like I said, this is the first time that Beth Rachel is here with us on our show, so I'm excited. I know you are, so let's get cracking on this show. So Beth, I'm so glad you're here. Please join me in welcoming Beth to the show. I can't see you, Beth. Where are you?
Oh, you can't see me?
Oh, there you are. I can see you now. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. I'm still trying to get my computer to work, but it's kind of splitting my attention, so I think I'm going to stop. Um,
It's all right. It'll it'll get fixed on its own while we're having this conversation, while we get started. It's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that
welcome.
might be it. Thank you.
So, because this is the first time that you are on the show, Beth, can you just share a little bit about your journey, your story of how you got to be doing the work that you're doing now, especially with the shadow work, healing, trauma, etc. And I'm sure I know you've had a lot of trauma in your past that you had to work with and heal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, yeah, I was born very intuitive and very awake, I guess you would say. I hesitate to use that word. Sometimes these words that we use all the time, it's like they're very good at describing, but I feel like they get overused a bit. So uh, I was very conscious of my direct stream of soul awareness and my starseed line, and in connection with my starseed family, particularly my Syrian family from birth, and had some pretty big light warrior contracts to come here and participate in shifting and changing some of the shadow dynamics that have been dominating planet Earth for quite some time. So I ended up having a pretty extensive experience with the shadow throughout my childhood, through just about every type of abuse and trauma that you can have. I experienced government secret programs such as Project Looking Glass, Project Stargate, the Mill Lab, and some others. Some ritual abuse, sexual trafficking, and much of this was suppressed at the time because, as we go through trauma, we dissociate from it in multiple ways. We have lots of choices there, right? Mine was to go really deep inside myself and also to use my starseed family to help me to heal certain parts of it so that I would keep moving on. But even that, I was really still suppressing so that I could continue to sort of, operate in the normal world. And at some point around the age of 15, I came in contact with some of the original technology that was used to create the planet. And that shifted my consciousness back into alignment with my soul and brought choice back. And even though I had had many near-death experiences, this was a moment in time where my soul fully aligned with this body in this time and source. And I really heard deeply and clearly that I didn't have to play the game anymore. And I felt like I could make that choice, whereas at certain points in my past, I hadn't felt like I could for, obligations to family or obligations to humanity. I saw a different way. I was reminded of the original creation of the planet, why we created what we did, to have a microcosmic experience of unity consciousness. And I truly believe that that is what we are here for, and that the soul of the planet runs through every layer of Earth, much like the energetic heartbeat, and through us. And as we harmonize with her, we begin to activate the true original human genome and her blueprint, and that those fit together like a lock and a key. And then we really begin to shift into, rather than ascend into, I really believe we come into. It's an inward experience where we come into harmony with her, and we experience the unification of all consciousness here. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I just want to ask everybody, really quickly, how is the sound for everyone? Is it okay? Okay. Oh, okay. Not great. Can you, Beth, do something with your mic? Maybe it's muffled, but it's not bad. She's a little garbled. Okay. Can you move your mic a little bit, maybe?
I can, or I can unplug it.
Okay.
That's another option. You might get some background noise, but we can try it.
Yeah.
And I can put you on.
Because it was muffled,
How is that?
Oh, much better.
Oop,
Yeah,
that's better?
much
Okay.
better. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Good, good,
Good.
good.
Whew. Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm improvising here. Yeah. So at any rate, I had to go through my own process of inner journey to reawaken and recollect these parts and pieces of myself. And I did that through multiple healing modalities and reaccessing my original abilities and calling home these parts of my soul and of my inner self to come into more wholeness, to be able to not just heal myself, but assist others as well. So, yeah, it's, so many things. I didn't really have like the awakening experience that a lot of people do, because there was always a certain portion that was awake, even in my conscious reality, in my family and people around me. It was kind of born within the new age community. So there was always meditation, there was always yoga, there were always psychics, there were always tarot readers, there was always crystals.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but when I was about 17, I started to really go on my mission, my self-healing mission. And I took myself to various intuitive readers and started to play more deeply with tarot and crystals and the earth and that connection, and did some psychic training, massage training, yoga training, energy healing of multiple modalities, yoga teacher training. I did quite a bit of work with theta healing and teaching, as well as practicing. And my channeling came back, and my light language came, because I remember speaking as a child, but those really came back online about 20 years ago. And at the time, no one was talking about light language.
Yeah,
So,
true.
And when I was a kid, I was punished for it. And told I was kind of just making stuff up. And so I was very quiet about it for a very long time, but I would write it, and I would write, my experiences, and just kind of keep them tucked away. And, it wasn't until I started kind of hearing other people talk about this, that I felt more comfortable sharing it publicly, and everybody I know has their own sort of feelings around their sharing of light language. There's almost always some sort of discomfort or fear of being judged, or yeah. So
but now, I mean, like, so many people do it now. So many people use light
Now
language,
it's
work
just
with
like,
light language. It's like commonplace. It's like if you don't, it's like not what's wrong with you, but it's like, really, you haven't tapped into that ability yet? Come on, let's bring it through. You can do it. It seems to be much more available for everybody and much more accepted than before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good, awesome. So that's a little bit of a story, and I think I already said this earlier, but I worked with you on Monday, and oh my God, the session was amazing, right? So much came through, and so many awarenesses, and so much change, right? Because of the frequencies that you were bringing in, and it was amazing, including the light language.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really through so many of my experiences, I was pushed so to the brink of what we're capable of as human beings, which, on the shadow side is traumatizing and terrifying. And there's so much to work through there, obviously. But on the other side, I got pushed to the brink of what we're capable of as human beings, and so I have that awareness, and I bring that expanded consciousness with me when I enter into a session with someone. I also, a big part of how I survived those experiences was to go inside and have a deep relationship with my internal world and my subconscious. And so it's very easy for me to drop in with people right to the heart of where they're holding that in their subconscious, because it's very familiar territory for me.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And so on Monday, when we worked with some of the shadow parts of my life from childhood on, etc., let's talk. I mean, like, we hear the term shadow a lot, right, in this
Yeah.
industry, right? We've heard it a lot, but and we know that it's important to transmute, shift, um, that shadow work, that the trauma that's there, but from your perspective, what is shadow alchemy and why is it so important? I know it's important. I know it, like, for me,
Yeah.
it was really important, right, to change my story, right, and create and not create a new story, but really live in the fullness of who I am, and bring the best version of myself out, my fullest potential out to share and do my soul purpose work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that what gets overlooked sometimes, or at least the depth of awareness of this, is that our shadow is our teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And we are, whether it's on a conscious level or subconscious level, as a group, in the collective conscious, we have allowed the shadow to be here. And I
For
think
sure.
that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow, right?
Yeah.
And what it is doing is it's creating an initiation process for us to wake up. It's giving us something to wake up from,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where we then have to access some of our extraordinary abilities and really realize who we are and what we are. So I think that that's sort of the first part, because I think oftentimes people, our natural tendency is to have a fear of the dark, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's imprinted in us from childhood, and to its credit, it can be quite terrifying, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh Absolutely. And it's very good at being quite terrifying, very clever at being quite terrifying.
Yeah.
And at the same time, what I find when I work with it with people, and the reason I call it shadow alchemy, uh, is that as we move into it, we're always, always, always connected with source. The shadow is very convincing, to make us think that we are disconnected and that it's more powerful. And we have to unwind from that. And as we do, when we go into these places that have experienced and touched so closely the shadow, and we're so connected to source as we do this, we reclaim those parts of us that believe the lie, right? Through the trauma or through the pain or through the mind manipulation, whatever it was, the program, even just, our school, the way that our schools are system is created, the media, all of those are elements of the shadow programming. You don't have to go through what I did to experience that kind of programming, even in our family system. So as we go into them and we go in fully connected to source, empowered in that co-creation energy, and we reclaim that part that fell for the lie, and we untangle the part that it's still believing. Because what happens when these parts of us experience these traumas, these incomprehensible experiences at the time, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
part gets kind of frozen and stuck there. So when we go back, we can look at what happened with the presence of source and disentangle that younger part from those truths that were so convincing, those untruths, excuse me, that were so convincing at the time, and release those, and release the things also that we learned from those experiences, and that part of us learned from that experience that were untrue, release those. And then also bring in the parts and pieces of our soul that either left during that experience, bring them back, or the part that we just created more room for because that lesson is now complete, that our soul wanted to learn, right? Because our soul comes with specific teachings that it wants to acquire.
Mm-hmm.
Our soul is ever evolving, ever learning, very curious, and wants to learn. When we come into this earth creation, and we're subject to learn through the structures that we have, and the games that are being played, which is that shadow and light primarily, right? So forgive ourselves for the way that we learned what we learned, but be able to bring that in, and forgive the others who participated in us learning it in that way.
And of course, we don't remember, right, what it is that we wanted to learn, right? And so when we're having our experiences, we're judging ourselves and we're judging the experience and those around us, right? And that creates a lot of resistance and friction and wounding as well.
Absolutely. Well, judgment is a huge shadow frequency, right? That's not a frequency of source, and that's a manipulative program that we're taught that creates even more distance between ourselves and ourselves and ourselves and God, our source, and the divinity, right? Basically, of who we are. That's what judgment does. And so that's another program that gets inserted in from birth, to judge, and then it gets further validated when we have experiences that we prejudged and we're like, see, I was right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it becomes a vicious cycle, right? It just on and on and on. And the thing is, with our human psyche, let's face it, most of us, we're trying our best, right? And on a day-to-day basis, we're really trying our best. We're doing the work the best we can. We are trying to forgive ourselves. Forget about, everybody else, but the hardest part is forgiving ourselves for the choices that we've made and the experiences we've had. But you know what? We're trying, right? But even that sometimes, even the trying so hard, I find that there is sometimes that's also creating separation between us and the divine and source, is it not?
Yeah, it absolutely can be, right? Because efforting is its root, I would say, is, in that program of we have to produce, right? Like you go to work, you produce a thing, that's how you are worth something, right? Rather than we're just worthy. That's part of our birthright.
Yeah.
To be worthy of love, to be worthy of abundance, to be worthy of joy. And so the efforting piece is like, you have to work for it. It touches that program. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the whole ascension piece, right? Everyone's trying to ascend, get to somewhere. And again, that's the doing piece again, right? And, with the ascension too, some people have it in their heads that they're not going to make it. They're taking too long, or something. And people say, you're going to miss the boat. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay, buddy, it's like, none of that is true and valid, right? But the thing is, some of us, that's how we've been programmed. That's what we've picked up, right? Is that we have to do, clear our chakras, balance and align our chakras every day, raise our vibration frequency, clear our, ancestral wounds, all that stuff, all down the maternal line, all down the, all that stuff. We've been told that's what we have to do in order to ascend. So that is also, I think, causing more angst and more anxiety for some people in this time. Because some people are feeling like they're falling behind, maybe, right? I'm not like that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting perception that I haven't focused too much on, but absolutely. Well, it also touches on that competition piece too, right? Like part of the reason we are in a hurry is to stay caught up with what our fellow person is doing, and it ends up playing into competition. And really every soul is on their own individual journey, and competition is another shadow program that when we feed into, right, in the doing, we're not being.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what you're saying. It's like, as long as we keep trying, we keep efforting, we're busy.
Yeah.
We're busy. And the more busy we stay, the less we're actually dropping into this inward experience. And something I want to bring into the conversation is that in talking about the human psyche, in talking about the subconscious, dropping into the reality that is 90% of our reality, 90%. Like, I think we really need to allow that to drop in. So even if you're moving at 200 miles per hour in your conscious reality, working on yours, you know, there's like 90% that's not on board necessarily. We're not sure, right? We got to check in. We have to do that work. And when we really start dropping into that level of consciousness, that's when we start also dropping into the level of consciousness that's happening on the planet. That's about, I would say, about 90% that we're not tapping into.
For sure.
That's the original design that inner earth is still connected to, right? The people living inside the planet are still connected to that original vibration. And that's part of that 90%, right? And that's operating in us subconsciously as well. So the more we can allow for room in being and less in doing, absolutely do what comes to us, right? But yeah,
I was gonna say, but without,
you're missing anything, or
yeah,
absolutely,
and without judging yourself or judging your journey, you know. And when you're like comparing your journey with somebody else, you can't compare your journey with anybody else. You know, we're all unique, right? And
absolutely,
each of us, you know, has our own unique journey, you know, and our internal system is unique to each one of us. It's never ever going to be the same as somebody else, right?
No, and that's the beauty of what each individual has to bring and share, because this is within the unity consciousness is a sharing, right? It's really about a communing with all that is here. So we have to be able to come from our hearts and be open to what our fellow humans and fellow beings, all parts and pieces of the natural structure here, have to share, have to teach. And open up again to that other huge percent of the consciousness here that already knows it's already happening. They're like, you know, if you were to ask the 90% of earth consciousness, like, what do you think of ascension? They'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, we're doing it. 5D, we're doing, I don't know what you humans are doing. You know, I don't know what you guys are doing. You're very caught up.
We're complicating things, you know.
Complicating things. Yeah. And I think we also forget what a small percentage we are, you know, in relation to the rest of the planet, you know,
and the rest of the universe.
And then, not even talking about the rest of the universe, right? So,
absolutely. And that's why sometimes we have to remind ourselves that our uniqueness, like you were saying, is so vital and so important. And it's we don't recognize how important our own unique beingness is to when we're sharing our gifts with people, when we're sharing our stories, when we're just sharing our love with others. You know, that uniqueness of who we are, it's not going to match anybody else. It's like totally you. So when we're able to be ourselves, you know, without comparing, without judgment, without any of that story, and just be, people can tap into that. And that can then, you know, I think impress upon them more about their own perception of themselves. You know, it's like, oh, you know what? It's like, I'm seeing something different about this person, which I really am resonating with. And the reason why they resonate with that person in that way is because that is within them as well. That quality is within them, but we've forgotten, we've, you know, not recognized it, not appreciated it. And so that's why I always say every single one of us is important. Every single one of us is valuable and valued and worthy of whatever you choose, you know. And that's the thing we have to remind ourselves, tell ourselves that, you know, we are, you know, a spark of the divine or a part of creation, right? But that piece that we are is just as valuable and important as the next piece, as the next being, as the next flower, as the next tree, as everything else, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The way I like to describe it is that we're all creating, you can either use a puzzle or a canvas together. And you know what happens when you're missing a puzzle piece, right? It's incomplete. And if you're creating a group piece of art together, which I believe is what art is, what Earth is really about, then every contribution is what makes that piece of art. And without just one of those, it's an entirely different piece of
True.
art. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I
So,
love that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So my goal is to really help individual, both on an individual level and on a group conscious level, to alchemize and dissolve these pieces of the shadow that are making it difficult, challenging us, right, to fully embody our souls.
Yeah.
And really help and assist people to fully embody their soul consciousness in this human body vessel, and use that to connect with and commune with the soul of the planet and the original design here, and create from that place our beautiful world that is one of creative and connected and constructive play and interaction.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful. And that, and that's the thing. We are always interacting with somebody else, something else, so there's always engagement going on. There's always interaction going on. And when we are able to be more of ourselves, we are embodying more of our soul essence. And there's more of us available to create with, to engage with, and to, they're saying something to make transformation with as well, on the planet with each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. More pieces to the alchemy, right? More ingredients to add to the alchemy.
Yeah.
And, when you talk about how much each of us have to offer and all of, it's, and when we start talking about the intelligence of every piece, we, have so much of our bodies, our physical bodies are, bacteria, virus, fungus. We are a collection of consciousness. When we eat, we absorb and unify with the consciousness of what we eat. We are all of that. And it's our ego that creates this idea that we are something separate than we're already unity consciousness just within this physical body, right? And so that is part of the idea of being able to go in and deepen the connection with the inner world of our human psyche, is that we expand the capacity to access the wholeness of our consciousness, of the consciousness within ourselves. And as we do that, that becomes a reflection to the whole of the planet, and it begins to expand the consciousness as a whole.
Absolutely. Yeah. So everything that we do, everything that we be, affects everything around us as well. Affects the planet, affects the people around us, the communities around us, everything, right? So if you look at the planet and the people on it, people living here, on it, within it, in it, we all interact with each other in a harmonious way, hopefully, mostly, that's what I would like, in a more harmonious way. But we are always affecting everything else around us, and we forget that, right? So every time we have that negative thought, or we, beat ourselves up, it's not just us that we're affecting, right? It's also our body, but it's also the people around us. It's also the energy field around us. It's also the planet, and it's also the collective, right? Every single time it ripples out to that, right? And for me, that's why it's so important for us to work on our wounding, work on our trauma, heal those stories, and also at the same time love and appreciate ourselves, because that's also going to ripple out to everybody and everything else.
Yes, the more and more of those wounds, those shadow pieces that we alchemize, the more not just our soul comes home, but we really begin to understand self-love, right? And self-acceptance.
Yeah. And that's key. For me, self-acceptance is key. It's even, because not a lot of people can get to the self-love piece, but at least if you can accept yourself, that's to me, that's being home, truly accepting yourself. So I have to say, when I got kicked out, because I got booted out, I lost everything in the chat. So I know that there were some people who had written questions in the chat. I apologize. They're no longer there for me. So I cannot ask any of your questions. So the people who had raised their hands are still raised, right? So I know we're going to take some, but I think we missed some people. Their hands are no longer raised. Oops. But I wanted to take some questions just to see what's coming up for people. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you did write a question in the chat, please write it again or raise your hand. And because, like I said, it's gone. I lost it. All right, Linda, I know you had your hand raised first. And you might have already written in the chat as well, but I can't remember.
I did.
Okay, but it's
I
gone.
did right. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
My sister, who is now deceased, that was her name. So
Oh,
I like that.
Beth. Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you that. I want to know is, do you take the person back in time then to do the soul alchemy? And I've got one other question.
Yes. Give me 1 second because I think I am getting my computer to work.
Awesome.
Let me just,
Good.
yeah. And I have this ring light on here right now, and it's not that. Hang on.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna come on the computer. Or is she? Let's see. Oh, there. Okay. You just have to unmute your audio and video. Yeah. But yeah, people are keep getting kicked out
Woo!
today. Much better.
Stuff happening. Okay, thanks for being patient with me. This ring
You're
light was
welcome.
hurting my eyes. So, do I take people back in time?
Yes.
Yeah, to the shadow experience. Is that what you were asking?
Yes.
Yeah. In a way, yes, I do. I guide people through in a meditative state or a slight hypnosis state to that time and place where they had that experience, to that part of themselves that had that experience, to communicate with that part and ask that part about that experience. Because sometimes we know what that experience was and sometimes we don't. So It's really about going and connecting to that part and allowing them to share what they're ready to share.
Okay. The other question, thank you very much.
Yeah.
The other question was, you were talking about Project Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was that part of a deep state type of thing for you? Or ritualistic abuse at that time?
Yeah, a lot of the cults which are responsible for the ritual abuse feed into a lot of these government programs, right? And they have different avenues that they connect through, but it definitely is a different vein, right? It is that government frequency. So there's crossover, but it's absolutely a government program.
Because from what I understand, and I've done some research on this, that there's also a good looking glass and a bad one.
Well, there's an inversion of everything.
Okay.
There's an inversion of everything. And the deeper you go, the more convoluted it goes, right? You may have found that already. There is not really, maybe there's a bottom to the rabbit hole, but if you get to the bottom, you're not coming out unscathed. I can tell you that. But there's always an inversion. There's always an inversion, and there's lots of different types of technology that are remote viewing technologies, such as Looking Glass. That's just one technology and one project that is pretty well known. But there's lots of them.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
You have a wonderful day, and I'm sorry I have to leave you, but thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. All right, so Martine was here a long time ago and she asked a question in the chat. Thank you for typing it in again. Can you share if there's anything around trust in the connection between my soul and spirit self?
Trust in the connection between my soul and spirit self. I don't see Martine. Oh, there you are. Hi, Martine. Anything between the my first instinct is to say if you're asking, then probably yes. And to look into the place where the question lies. Right. In other words, there's a place within the psyche, within the subconscious that's asking that. So I would go in and connect with that part, that piece that's feeling the insecurity and having the question, and ask them where that's emanating from and what they're desiring to share or discover through that. That makes sense.
She's thinking. She's thinking about it.
I don't think very well. I mostly feel now. I kind of lost my mind a couple of years ago. Okay, that sounds weird, but so what I experience is just a kind of a disconnection between the spirit and the soul when I'm getting into stuff. And I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if it's interference, or I don't know if it's just not a connection, a good enough connection, a solid enough connection between my soul and my spirit.
What are you defining as spirit?
My spirit self, what's in my body, along with my mind self and my body self and my ego.
The part of your consciousness that's residing in your body is what you're referring to your spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you call that? You call that the inner knowing or something?
I would call that the part of your consciousness that's residing in your body. Maybe I would call it your spirit.
Okay.
So it just helps me because everybody has different definitions to know what energy you're referring to. But if you're experiencing a disconnect between this body consciousness, this part of Martine that you experience here, and connecting with your soul, then it feels like there's something to clean up in there. There's something sticky in there. There's something calling for your attention in there, right?
Yeah.
To connect with and ask what deeper is there for me to know here?
Do I connect to my soul first, or do I connect to my spirit first, or do I call in my council? Like, how do I organize the committee meeting sort of thing?
The committee meeting. I love it. I always connect with source first. That's just me. But I also come with the knowledge that I'm always connected to source, and I'm always connected to all these things, right? But if I'm going to go in and have a conversation with another part of my own consciousness or another consciousness, and at some point it's all one consciousness anyway, but I always just really feel into that pure white light of oneness.
Okay.
And go from there. And you can even really connect there and ask from there, what's the direction to take this that's for my highest and best good?
Yeah, I think that's simple. I like
simple.
that.
Simple is great. Like Alara was saying earlier, we make things really complicated. I think that's what she said. Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what's the question again? What is for my highest?
Highest and best. I always ask highest and best good.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. In terms of our relationship to this disconnect I'm feeling. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Martine.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to Rebecca.
Hey there.
Hi.
Thank you. Well, this is fascinating for me because 21 years ago, I uncovered satanic ritual abuse in my history.
Oh, are you in the car?
I'm sorry?
Are you in the car?
We're hearing a ding ding.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I have an appointment shortly, but I wanted to get in as much of this call as I possibly could.
We're glad you're here.
Just don't drive while you're talking. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I have it on speaker, so
okay, perfect.
Hands free, I promise.
Good. Always best to be safe.
So you uncovered some satanic ritual abuse in your past years ago, you were saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I only remembered a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But just enough to know that it's real,
Yeah.
that I can't deny. Like, I tried for several years to go back and forth and like, no, it couldn't possibly have happened, you know.
Yeah.
But
Totally
I guess,
normal. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, did we lose you?
So what's the question, Rebecca, if you're still there? I think we lost you, Rebecca.
But
Oh.
I'm a theta healer now too. And I've kind of created my own thing. You know, it's kind of come through me. And I just went through a domestic violence situation, got away a few months ago, and I'm looking for a place to live. And money's running out, but I have these great prospects in my business. And I guess I'm just wondering if there's any guidance for me in terms of where to live. I'm meeting with a woman tomorrow that's a friend of a friend that may be willing to give me a room to rent until I can get some more things launched business-wise. But yeah, I'm just wondering if you're getting any info.
What's coming through really strongly is to clear the rest of his energy out of your field before you decide on a place to live. Because it feels like it's still in there and some of the trauma vibration is still in your body. And you don't want to make a choice from that place. Does that make sense? So your nervous system is still really activated and your adrenals are still really activated, and it's that fight or flight place, and you don't want to make a decision from there.
Yep.
So I would get into a place where you feel really safe and really comfortable. Feels like out in nature. Just sit on the ground, be with Mama Earth, connect with Source, and do some clearing on yourself and really get him out of your space, complete those contracts with him, and do a clearing on your nervous system and adrenals, and then I think it'll drop in and become really clear where the best place is to go. It's going to be the one that feels calm and settled. It doesn't, I get that it doesn't matter right now how big it is or small it is. It's going to feel safest. And like, there's nobody that's going to be bugging you or coming into your space or intrusive, and you can just really have your space. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because right now you would probably choose the person that's going to be a little bit invasive and get up in your space because you still have somebody up in your space. You know what I mean? Yeah. So do that clearing on yourself first. And I get that it'd be real nice for your body to be on the earth when you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So many blessings to you.
Yes, to all of you too. Thanks, Alara, too.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right. Drive carefully.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Sarah, I know you wrote your question in the chat, but if you want to unmute, you can go ahead and ask your question out loud.
Thanks. I have a question, obviously. I used to lead for much larger groups than I do now, but still I'm leading on a regular basis rituals, sometimes just spiritual rituals. The energy always comes in. I often don't know what I'm going to say. I did one for the last of the Jewish holidays and it was beautiful. But when I was leading for much bigger groups a few years ago, a clairvoyant friend noted that trickster energy would sometimes get channeled in with the rest, and I didn't know how to distinguish it, and it would sometimes get me in trouble. So I'm just wondering how to protect for that. I ground daily, and most days I remember to put up a shield. But in dealing with this shadow side, I'm wondering where it comes from and how to protect against it, because I'm just so open to channeling. I don't want to bring anything that's hurtful or confusing, only healing.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. So I don't work with protection. Because if I need to put up a shield or protect myself, then I'm in a defensive place, right? And if I know my truth and I am working with the pieces inside of myself that I need to connect with, then that's reflecting out into the world. And I'm not attracting anything I need to protect or defend against. Does that make sense? Because that ends up being a lot of energy for us. That's like a lot of a lot of work and energy to put out to constantly be creating a shield or a bubble
or a filter.
Or a filter. Or so the more and more we can clear what's inside of us that's creating that, right? So we're working with the concept here that it's always something inside of us that the outer world is reflecting back to us. So if you're talking about channeling an energy coming in that's not of your intent, then I would go inside and ask what that connects with inside. When did I first experience that? Who inside at what age first experienced that, and what was that experience? Because somewhere, some part of you is incomplete around that. So it keeps pulling that in to complete it and gain that clarity, get resolution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm sorry about the truck. I'm on the front porch.
Okay.
All right, well, I've done a lot of trauma clearing since then, and I don't notice it so much, but it just sprang to my mind as a question asked. So if I've cleared my own trauma and work with the shadow stuff every day, that's really what you're suggesting.
Well, I wouldn't say every day. I would say when something's calling, when something's showing up, which, in this case, it sounds like something's showing up, right? Because this goes back to we don't want to be overworking everything, but there's a natural process to things. And if there's something that's showing up, then it's giving us that reflection to go inside. And I would say this sounds like one of those pieces. And if you've done a lot of trauma work already, you might already have a relationship with the part that's holding on to that and creating that reflection.
Okay, well, I just had a week with my family, and I found I did not fall back into the same old roles and reactions. My sister said,
Awesome.
so happy I'm spending time with you. After the wedding, she said, well, flights are easy to change. You can leave whenever you want. And I said, no, I just said I'm happy to be spending time with you. That was a big breakthrough. She's hard to get through. So
that's wonderful. Yeah. So you weren't feeling so triggered by your family. That's great.
The daughter was being very triggered by her, and I noticed that I wasn't. So
yeah,
it's huge.
That is huge.
That's a great reflection between the outer and inner world, right? And to give you that sort of validation for the work that you've done, and also to further illustrate how that reflective quality works, right? You do the work and then you have the experience. Yeah. Good
Thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. All right. So Sherry had asked a question in the chat. So she said, I definitely feel like I'm here to bring in something original, but feel blocked. Any insights as to which direction to go? And then follow up, am I on the right path? I'm going to let you go with that one, but I might add my 2 cents. Because sometimes I add my 2 cents.
Yeah. Sherry, can you turn your video on? Is that an option for you?
I can unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. So you feel like there's something unique that you want to bring through, that wants to come through, but there's a block.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been feeling that way for?
Oh, well, a long time. I mean, I always feel like I'm forever the student and spending a lot of time learning other things, but I mean, I love it, but it's not it. And I know it comes from inside of me, but I just feel like there's this block there. And so then I go back into, I'll just listen to other people and see what they're, so, yeah.
My guidance would be to start with, what is your heart's desire? What is your heart desire to create? Can you feel that? Are you able to feel into what your heart's desire is to create here and share here?
Yes, sometimes, not all the time. That's where I'm saying, no, that's not it. like, yes, I love working with the whales and the dolphins and the ocean and the water. And that just, speaks to my soul. But there's something else. And, or maybe that's the block. Maybe it's just the idea that there's something else.
Well, I think if you fully embrace your relationship with the cetaceans, you'll start bringing in some of your starseed Syrian DNA and accessing or activating that and bringing in some of that awareness. And you might feel a greater depth of yourself and your inside of you in your cells. Does that make sense? So it's like you feel drawn, but you're not fully opening into what that means. I have a connection I was like, I have a connection to the dolphins. I feel really connected to the dolphins and the whales, but that's not it. I'm like,
I know, right? I know.
Like, what? The dolphins and the whales are like they know exactly what's going on way more than we do. They are so tapped in, tuned in, and if you're feeling a deep connection there, then that's
go with it.
That you don't, it's, again, I think part of it goes back to comparing to where anybody else is coming from.
Yeah.
Right. And it also comes back to any places that touch on that in your childhood, that you need to be something other than what you are or who you are or what you feel. So I would definitely look for any of that, because it feels like some old childhood insecurity or things you were sort of made to feel through experiences that you weren't enough just the way you were. You had to do something else or something extra. And so I would work with some of those pieces, because I think that those are blocking you in terms of being able to drop into your own unique wisdom that your soul is bringing through this cetacean connection, right?
Yeah, they are my family. I mean, I can say that wholeheartedly, and I mean that with every ounce of my being. So, but it's not, I'm not dismissing them at all. There's a block, so I hear you. So it's just childhood patterning, and
some of it is childhood patterning, that you're continuing to believe. And at the same time, it's like, it's not about dismissing, but it is about giving full credit. Right. So what would happen if you sat down and just really connected with the cetaceans and asked them to share parts and pieces of their wisdom that they want you to hear? And it doesn't even have to be for anybody else, but just for you. And you really open that telepathic channel. Have you done that?
Okay.
All right. So Sherry, do you want to hear my 2 cents?
I do.
And I already know you're like, oh God, I don't know what she's going to say, but I know it's not going to be good.
Yes, I do.
So if you say, I have a block around this, guess what you are reinforcing? That separation, that division, right? And that block. You're making it significant at the same time, right? So what Beth was saying was about fully working with the dolphins and the whales, really embracing that modality, that healing, that connection, and seeing where that goes, see how that develops. Because yes, it may not, that's one piece of it, but there might be more that is coming through for you, but you won't know until you start working with it more and more with yourself and with other people. I find that the more that we do the work with ourselves and other people, more stuff comes in. We get more insights, more wisdom, more transmissions, more downloads, more energies comes in. If we're just thinking that, oh, I really like this, but I think there's something else, nothing's going to shift and nothing's going to change. You're not going to go deep enough to really have that experience of, and besides, there's no such thing as this is it, okay? Please.
Yeah.
There is no such thing, this is it. There's no this is it, right? This is one thing to start off with, and then later on, something else may come through and develop. Okay.
So that is the distraction. That is the block. I'm just, thank you. I thank you both.
Stop using that word. Stop using that word. That's not the block.
It's your door. Just
It's my
it's
door.
your doorway, you know,
It's
just
my
open
doorway.
the door and let the water come in. Right?
Oh,
You might find that you
okay.
have a depth of connection with the consciousness of water as well if you're already working with the cetaceans. I do, and it's a beautiful energy. And again, letting go of anything that says anything is supposed to look like anything or feel like anything.
Yeah.
Right? Because we get these competition kind of energies and these ideas in our head, even in the spiritual community. We get tons of it, like, oh, this person said it in this way, and you know, oh, they're shinier or they're bright, or, you know what, you know, somebody says the same exact thing in a different way and they didn't get heard, or, you know, it's like,
That is so true.
keep going inside, you know,
Keep going inside and keep working with it and sharing it. You know, I find that the sharing, when I started doing my work, that I got more from doing than from thinking about how do I want to do it. Is this really it? I never asked myself, is this really it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? No, it's like, okay, you know what? This feels good in the moment. Let's start with this and let's keep going.
Something to be
Let's
said for that
do it.
conscious interaction.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you
right.
both. Yes, thank you both.
So welcome.
You're welcome, Sherry. Thank you. And that was a great
Thank
question.
you.
I'm glad you asked because that's something people need to hear. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ioana. And we don't normally get to hear Sherry. She normally just types in the chat. So good to hear your voice, Sherry.
Hi, thank you. My camera doesn't work, so just.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question. Thank you for allowing me to ask. Any help with getting some sleep, some restful sleep, so I can have some energy, because it's depleted and the sleep is very superficial. It's not restful. It's almost like I'm in a meeting during the sleep and my brain is constantly going. So I don't know if my nervous system needs some relax, like go out of fight and flight, but how to do that?
Yeah. Well, it definitely feels like you are, I wouldn't say, it doesn't feel like quite in a meeting to me. It feels more like you're kind of battling in your sleep. Does that resonate at all?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So what are you battling?
Everything, including myself.
Why are you battling everything, including yourself?
Because everything wants something from me. There is no rest and there is no quiet. It's everything is a demand, or it's a protection also. Sometimes it's not demanding, but I need to do something to protect, so to be safe. You cannot sit and rest because they might not be safe.
So that to me feels like it connects to something in childhood. Can you touch into what that might be at all? And if you don't feel comfortable touching in with that right now, you don't have to.
I will be okay to touch it, but it doesn't jump to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hidden, or I hide it from myself.
Yeah. Well, when we don't feel safe, we hide things, even from ourselves. And it feels like there's a lot of lack of safety. And there's a lot of feeling like things are coming to grab for your energy.
That's how I feel. Yes. Yeah. But how can I?
Well, there's certainly things you can do to clear your space and clear your energy for now. But I think that it's going to all come right, back at some, within some time frame or another, until you get to the root of what is not feeling like it can what inside of you is not feeling like it can fully claim your space, because this is about a claiming of your space and a claiming of your body and your energy field.
So would you recommend that I want to get a session with you, Beth? Would that help?
I'd be happy to work with you. Yeah. It feels like it's in there pretty deep and pretty tangled.
Yeah, that's how it feels. Yeah, it's not that I don't want to find it, but it's kind of so deep buried, and so it's almost like I'm getting to the door, but the door is locked and I'm banging myself against the door. And
Yeah. Well, in these cases, it's also important to acknowledge that, like, you found the door, though, you know, and what you can acknowledge along the way, it leaves room for this to open more. The more you can share and acknowledge with yourself whatever you have discovered. So you discovered that there's something inside of you that's calling for attention. There's a door and it's locked, but you found the door, right? So that's a lot of information right there. And so really acknowledging that and embracing that is step one, I think.
okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And giving yourself credit for that part. And then you can take it slow and you can tell that part of yourself, like, hey, you know, I feel you behind that door. I want to connect with you, and start building a relationship even between the door.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because there's trust broken when traumas happen, big traumas happen, and between different parts of ourself. Yeah. So that part of you probably doesn't want to unlock the door and let you in the door because she's terrified and doesn't know who you are, isn't able to, you know, sometimes depending on what's happening, that part of us can't identify the difference between whoever perpetrated us in that situation and then our adult self coming in. So this is your opportunity to talk to that part of yourself through the door. Tell her who you are. Remind her that it's possible to be safe and that you are her, grown, and you are safe and you did get through it and you're here now returning to help her. Yeah. Okay. So start working on building that connection, and then in the meantime, work on just really connecting with source energy, that infinite white light, and allowing it to pour through your space as often as possible, especially at bedtime. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So those are some starting points for you, Iwana, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. All right, last question from Randy.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, that's a nice picture. I like it. It looks better big. Now I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Very not gay. So, there I was having this experience that was basically a heart attack. And what I did, there's a face I just asked for it in the other situation.
It's half a face.
So I'm having this situation. I'm leaving a doctor's office, and it's in the heat. A couple weeks ago, months, maybe almost a month ago, and I started having this experience where I knew my soul was. It was time. It had decided it's okay. I'm leaving this body, and I'm not really wrestling with that. And I'm not sure how you're going to read or just give me some little feedback on this, but what I did in that certain circumstance is soul integration, as well as I know it, like bringing my conscious down into my heart, touching CV17, doing some deep breath work. You know, that was my immediate reaction. That only took, there's such a split second in these decisions where it's divine and it's on a soul level. Meanwhile, I'm still in the body, so the mind's trying to wrestle life to the ground. But I know that my soul tried to leave this body, and I forced it to stay. Where can you go from there? And thank you, I love you.
Forced it to stay, or you made a decision? There was an option to exit, and you made a decision to stay.
Both apply, because you know I had to do something. There was an action step. There was a there was a decision to not let it do what it wanted. You know, it was already happening, and I just reached up and pulled it back down into this body.
Right. So I think you have to own that decision, that is a decision. It was a gut. I understand it was a response, right? It was a gut response, but at the same time it was a decision. And your soul, so the greater part of your soul made that choice. So I think that there's a real question behind, why did this occur?
I've been in severe pain for a long time with FQAD. You can look that up on your own time. I have been, it's been a lot, very, along the lines of evolution. The way I own it is that now I can't really complain or describe or express about the pain the same way, because I chose to own it. In that moment, I chose to own it. So it doesn't give me that out or explanation of, this is FQAD. It's my body, and I'm in such pain all the time from demyelination, which is part of FQAD. And I just knew that I knew what I was doing, but how can I explain it to anybody?
I guess I'm not understanding your question that you have for me, and what you would like me
on a soul level
to answer. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to sort this out a bit.
Okay.
So feedback might be better than reading, or how do you, where you're going. My choice is fine, and I'll leave it at that for now, to respect everyone else's time.
It would actually help me if you gave a brief description of the debilitation that you're dealing with.
FQAD. It's how to explain that. Okay, it's how it affects you. Yeah. How it affects you personally. Everyone on the call is that the antibiotics that have been given to our livestock our whole lives manifested our body as a GMO. So we're all a GMO already. And this is a huge pink elephant that somehow I'm part of shifting, like the prayer of St. Francis, shifting M fields, is common to me. So there's this, it's demyelination like MS, and it's also the mitochondria are taken offline. It's DNA damage. What happens with?
Are you talking about, is this the one where the black threads appear?
No, it's when you take Cipro or Levaquin. Okay. What you have is DNA. How that works is it changes your DNA. So what happens is collateral damage.
So it's degrading your myelin sheath is the most painful part of the experience, is what I'm hearing.
That and the osteoarthritis that came. I've been such a strong person all my life. And and so there's the nerve damage pain. There's I'm going against the whole system, because most doctors lie about it and say, I don't know what you're talking about, because going against a drug company is basically suicide.
That's enough for me. I get the picture. So the reason I asked for those details is because if you're asking me, to be able to give you a reflection of what's going on, I have to know, you have to give me the energy of what's going on, right? So you have a very full plate, and your soul bit off a big chunk that it is, it's got the opportunity to transform. So you have an opportunity to transform this piece that your body is going through, and it's ending up that it's not just a piece for your body to transform and your genetics to transform, which, by the way, absolutely can, right? Yes, you've taken in these GMOs, and you've taken in these antibiotics that have created transformation in the cells and the tissues and in the DNA, and all of that can shift. It is possible, right? So it's a matter of getting to the heart of all of those pieces and what you've taken on for the consciousness of the planet and for humanity, and then what pieces are for you. So there's a lot of disentangling to do. This is big work right?
Yes.
And your soul made the choice that it's not ready to not do this work yet. And that's what that experience was. It's like you were given an option, like, hey, you want to just leave because this shit sucks. It's really freaking hard and painful, and I get it. And you were like, no, we're not leaving. Okay, but so now you need to get some real support and tools and help to transform this and work through it and really make the choice that is what you're going to do.
I've dealt with this 15 years. It's pretty Humpty Dumpty. I
Yeah.
dealt with everybody.
I get it. I totally get it. And at the same time, I fully believe that you can transform it.
I do
And
too.
I fully believe that this is part of what your soul is bringing, is to remind humanity of how capable they are and how magical they are. And also wake them up to what is really going on here. Like, hey guys, actually, this is what you've taken into your system. And when we really start reclaiming the original divine genome within us, before all of the mutations, right, from all the different ages and stages of planetary development and infiltration, this is just the newest one. GMOs and antibiotics and chemicals and pesticides and heavy metals and chemtrail. Those are all just the newest stage of manipulation to our DNA and genetics. So you're not alone.
It affects
right?
everyone.
It affects everyone. So I think that there's a piece in there, and you sharing that. It's kind of like what Alara was saying. It's like this. There is a sharing piece in that for you, I think. And when you start really sharing and connecting with other people and help people to wake up to this piece, right? It connects to other pieces that people need to wake up to. And start really linking all the ways in which there's control and domination in all the layers, and you're just representing one piece of that, right? And as you help other people to wake up to this consciousness, you help wake up parts and pieces in them that are then available to support the shift and change as well. So you're pioneering this.
I can look at it as a step in immortality. The fact that I have a choice.
You could.
And I have the experience to believe, not like someone's telling me.
Absolutely. And I think if you work on your worthiness issues a little bit and work on disentangling from some of your planetary obligations to take on the pain and suffering of the planet, I think you'll start to ease some of what you're personally taking on through your physical body. And then it'll start being a little bit easier to navigate the bigger picture sort of job that you've taken on, your soul's taken on. Does that make sense?
Yes, and thank you for your consideration.
You're so welcome. Yeah, and happy to support you with that at any point in time. If you would like further support, let me know.
Yes.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing.
Beautiful, Randy. Glad you're still here. Glad you chose to stay.
It's a choice. I literally, no matter what I'm thinking about, no matter what's going on, now I have this point of reference that, I chose to own it.
Yeah.
And that changes a lot of things, like surrender. From surrender, we see so many different choices than without it.
For
and
sure.
Yet, how can you get along with the neighbors without fighting and competing? And narcissism. How can you possibly sync with the neighbors in your town without narcissism?
New systems, new structures, new ways of relating on the way. Until then, it's all lessons and compassion and understanding.
Yeah. Thank you, Randy.
I know.
So just so you know, there's some stuff in the chat for you. Sherry said, so inspiring. Thank you all to our unique journeys. Yes. And Jennifer says, you've inspired me to learn more. So you're touching people. You're already touching people. And you know that. So thank you.
Oh, so much love to everybody. Yeah.
All right. So, we've done a lot already today. We've done so much. We've talked about so much. And oh my goodness. So many wonderful questions. So thank you, everyone. So now, Beth, I know that we want to talk a little bit about the packages. And if there's time, maybe we can do a little process if you still have time, because I know we're like already going a little bit over, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
So I'm going to share. So hold on, let's see if I can type in the chat without getting kicked out. 1 second. The last time I got kicked out for typing in the chat.
Huh.
Okay, so the special offer packages for Beth are available at alara.at/show/Beth10. Fingers crossed. Yes, I'm still here. Awesome. I'm going to share my screen in 1 second. Oh my goodness. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm going to do. This one. Yes. All right. Okay. So Beth has 2 packages that are available for us, package A and package B. Both packages, there are payment plans available, and of course you can use the 24-hour special gift code from me, TACS10. So package A is a 3-week series, and package B is the 3-week series plus a personal session, 60-minute personal session with Beth. So Beth, do you want to just talk a little bit about the 3-week series, and then we'll talk about the personal session?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a 3-week series that's designed to help you deepen your relationship to your inner world. And that includes all the different parts of you. And so getting to know how different parts identify with themselves and how they communicate with you, so that you know when something is showing up in your outer world, what part maybe to connect with in your inner world. I do a lot of clearing of beliefs in this process, and a lot of breathing with it to help clear the beliefs and bring in new frequencies. We work a little bit on your relationship with source in this first week, and also your connection with the planet, just to deepen and strengthen those so that you can trust these communications coming in. So this is your first step in learning how to work as an integrated whole and building communication with each individual part. So I'm kind of, I wasn't really reading it, but I was just sort of speaking from my heart about it. So week 2, it gets pretty cool. You spend a little bit more time with one individual part, and all the parts get to participate and do pretty clear, like cool exercises that are empowering to help them continue to clear old traumas and heal from past wounds, and build, again, that trust and communication with each other and you. And the second week, you get to do a nice cleansing ritual with one particular part and go deep with that part that's really calling.
Awesome. Then week 3.
Week 3, working all together to work on a manifestation. So really bringing all the parts and pieces together into the same alignment to work together to manifest, right? Because sometimes our manifestations, we're like, why are, I did the manifestation. And yeah, sometimes it's a belief that you're holding on to that's actually blocking the manifestation, or it's an emotion, but it's always going to be some part of you that's holding on to that belief or perception, right, of reality that is not allowing the new reality that you want to manifest. So this is all what we're working up to as we're building this relationship, is to get all the parts on the same page and unified, so that we can manifest from there. So in this last week, we go through that process of doing it all together. So everybody clearing for any parts that are holding on to any sticky points, and allowing that to fully emerge.
And this is a pre-recorded course package.
Yes, but the private session will not be.
Yeah, no, I know. So package A is, there are 2 and 3 part payment plans available, like I said before, and of course the 24-hour special gift code TACS10. Please do take advantage of that. And then package B includes everything in package A plus the personal session with Beth. So what does that look like, Beth?
Yeah, so it looks as, there's parts and pieces of it that we pulled from today as we sat and answered questions. And it depends on what's going on, but I usually spend the first couple minutes really listening to what's going on, and I track people's energy and what's happening in their field and in their body. as they're sharing what's happening for them in their lives. And so I'm taking note as I'm tracking at what points are kind of sticky and what energy shows up. And so kind of lead them through a little bit of inquiry into those places that I see lighting up, and guide them more deeply into those places, into those sticky places, or those places inside that are still holding on to wounds. So we may do some of that alchemizing process where we're calling in those parts and pieces after we've sort of cleansed and cleared and transmuted that energy for them, and bring those parts home to wholeness. Right. Sometimes the sessions will have activations in them, just depending on what's going on with that particular individual's soul. So sometimes we're really kind of bringing in, we've made room and we're bringing in parts and pieces from the soul, bringing in light language codes, sometimes toning, sometimes connection deep with the earth. But always going through whatever layers, are sitting within the self, reflecting outward, that are creating stuck points in our life that aren't making room for the fullness of our being. And then always bringing in whatever parts are ready to come into more fullness and more wholeness.
Absolutely. And like I said, I had a session with you on Monday and we did all of that. There was a lot of stuff happening during that session, and we kept going deeper and deeper and touching other parts and pieces and looking at the patterns that were coming up and seeing the patterns playing out. It's like, so it was really amazing to see and experience the awarenesses that came through during that session. And not just the awarenesses, but for me, awareness is huge, right? So when I get an aha, that for me starts to create the transformation and makes it go even deeper. So it was so the light language, the frequency downloads, the clearings, the releasing, the clearing the resistance, there was so much that we did. Yeah. So, and it was less than an hour. My session with you was less than an hour, and it was amazing. So I want to say that.
Yeah, there's always a lot of clearing and shifting of beliefs.
Yeah.
And a lot of frequency downloads so that we make room for new experiences within the psyche and within the body and within our outer world. Yeah. And then the way that I work with resentment is always to collect the parts and pieces where we've learned what we've learned, release the things that we no longer want to learn, and collect the things we have learned that we want to keep.
Yeah.
And disentangle from. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of disentangling happening for sure. Yeah. So thank you again. So again, the personal session and the package A is available in package B. There are 2 and 3 part payment plans available, and of course there's 24-hour special gift code TACS10. So I highly recommend getting a session. If you can do package B, I would do that if you can. Okay. If not, work with package A, and then eventually later on, you may have the opportunity to work with Beth again. But I found it was really amazing, Beth, and I found that yesterday, because we had the session on Monday, and then I found yesterday, Tuesday, my energy was like, I was so down, and I realized, like, oh, you know what? I'm still releasing stuff. I'm still clearing stuff. I'm still integrating the changes. And also, Robert was not having a good day, so I was a bit worried. But but it was part of that healing process that was going through.
Still integrating, right? Yeah. Sometimes it takes a moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it's like once I reminded myself that, it's like, okay, I just had a healing session, so it's quite possible that I'm still integrating and processing some of the stuff, which is like, even if it's just one day, awesome, because today I'm feeling great. Today I'm doing great. I even got a haircut. I'm feeling hot. It's like, it's good, right? So, and just, knowing that once we did that session, some of the stuff that was still there has finally been, I don't like the word released, but released and resolved, resolved in my heart,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important for me. It was resolved in my heart, so that some of that resentment, bitterness, any of those things, they're no longer there, and I'm grateful for that. You know, so thank you.
I'm happy to hear that. You're so
Yeah.
welcome.
It was good. Wow. Yeah. So just wanted to share that really quickly with everybody. So again, the packages for Beth are available at alara.at/show/Beth10. And, you know, I do recommend sessions, as you all know. I recommend that support because I find it really helps me for myself in my journey. And we're all growing, right? We're all expanding, we're all evolving, and sometimes we need that support. You know, so some of this stuff was very, very old. You know, I'm old. No, I'm not old. I'm older than some of you. So some of this stuff was from a long, 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 long time ago. I'm just gonna say that more than, you know, 50 years, right? So it needed to be resolved and healed. So thank you for that, Beth.
You're welcome.
Madalena says, I would have had great situations and opportunities coming in for me when I surrender. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. So Beth, do we have time to do a short guided thing or process, or have we gone over our time?
We could do about 5 minutes. I think I can.
Awesome.
Do
Good.
that.
Okay, because I know we started a little bit late, and then we just like, ugh,
There were some things happening.
yeah, so many things happening. Yeah, but yeah, that'd be, if we can, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, everybody can just start by taking some nice deep cleansing breaths. Inhaling in all the parts and pieces of you that are ready to come home at this time into the body. Exhaling out anything and everything you're ready to release. A couple more of those. Inhaling, calling home. Exhaling, releasing, letting go. And one more. Inhale. And exhale. Now visualize an infinite source point high above your head of beautiful, pure white light. And allow this light to stream down through your pillar of consciousness, transmuting any and all frequencies or energies, entanglements that are not for your highest and best good. Coming through the higher layers of consciousness, transmuting any of these energies at the soul level, through your higher self, coming into the body, water falling down and through the body, through all the energy systems, the chakras, all the body systems, organ systems, transmuting anything and everything that's not for the highest and best good of your body and being at this time. And when this energy, this waterfall reaches the bottom of your body, just allow it to extend even wider. Now all the way the width of your entire energy field, encompassing your aura, all the layers of your energy body. And allowing that same width to go all the way up to that source point and that waterfall to now be that wide, all the way from source point, transmuting any and all energies within your field, around your body and being that are not for your highest and best good at this time. And now allowing this waterfall of light to enter into the earth, moving through all the layers of inner earth until you reach the center of the planet. And when you do, you reach the beautiful soul of the planet, this beautiful pink plasma energy. You may also see it in crystal form. Feel your connection with her. Feel her pulse. Allow it to match your pulse. Allow your breath to match her breath, the undulation, the unification. Now begin to bring this energy with you back up through all the layers of the earth, your own consciousness in this portion of the soul of the planet, up through the base of your body, through your torso and your belly, through your heart and out, through your arms into the world, up through the head and out into the world, allowing yourself to be part of her toroid of energy, like a beautiful fountain. This is a continuous cycle that comes up from the center of the planet through your body and out through the heart, through the head, and back down into the earth. And this is the energy that unites all of us in unity consciousness. This is the vehicle for the consciousness to travel through and on. So just allowing it to move through and feeling that unification. And now you still have your waterfall moving as well. And allow both these energies together to form a ball of light around you, a ball or a bubble. Just to give you a sense of containment. And imagine your consciousness pulling inward, in through your third eye, into the center of your head, and dropping down into your body, into your heart center, and calling forth from this place within your heart center. Call forth your inner guide. This is a portion of your psyche that is connected to your soul and that has been tracking all the ongoings for your inner psyche throughout your life. And he or she is sort of the guide, the concierge, so to speak, to all the other parts of yourself. So just be with this part for a moment. This part that has agreed to take you on a journey to meeting all parts and pieces of yourself within your inner world to help you better understand any of the wounds left behind with any of the parts that are still longing to be reunited, integrated into wholeness with you. So just sitting with this guide for a few moments and see what wisdom he or she has to offer in terms of embarking on this journey to know your inner self more completely and wholly, inner selves. I'm not going to go into the other parts today, but just the inner guide and whatever wisdom they have for continuing on this journey at a later time. And just be open to receiving this wisdom in whatever form it comes. Feeling, seeing, hearing, knowing. Be open to the guide appearing in whatever form they appear. Sometimes it's just a ball or flicker of light. Sometimes people see it like Tinkerbell. Sometimes like another one of you. As long as it feels good and feels like a part of you. And that's what you're looking for.
Just breathing in that wisdom that they have to share. Thanking them for that wisdom and advice for how to proceed with connecting with more of the parts of your inner self at a later time. Know that you can come back here whenever you like. Continue to build this relationship and connection. And now we're going to gently come out just the way we went in. And back up from that heart center, up to the center of the head, out the third eye, and allowing that bubble to dissolve and once again become that pillar of light, that waterfall streaming down from source, and allow that fountain to come up from the center of the earth and run through your body, keeping you grounded and connected. Unified with Mama Earth, Mama Gaia. Atwalalea ni chwere satutune ni amakota puruyena ni korwatana techirio nukodorima. Alalea te nukotutui ni manakato tarina kasatare kurutui di amakato. Nalala sati chirie to puruye manakatare nakatu tirine katati sechutur nukodorini ana. Alala wasiti ni akakata. Beautiful work, everyone. Coming out as you're ready.
I'm slowly coming back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was beautiful. Such a beautiful connection. Wonderful messages from my inner guide. A reminder. So that was great. How was it for all of you? Type it in the chat. Let us know, what did you experience? What you're feeling now. So lots of hearts and emojis from Sherry. Randy says that there are millions of us with FQAD and the constellation of symptoms. The AMA says hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
That what your inner guide said?
Sherry says feels like home. Beautiful. Yeah, and that connection to home and that feeling of being at home, it's also that feeling of comfort and safety and whatever else home means to you, right? Acceptance and allowance and just being, right? Beingness. Madalena says, thank you so much. Wonderful. Good. I'm so glad you're here, Madalena. So, even with this short process that we did today, there was a lot of, I was yawning a lot through the process, especially at the very beginning. So there was a lot of shifting of energies, right? Lorena says, beautiful experience. I worked with Beth yesterday and cleared things I did not know even existed. It was amazing. Oh, good. Awesome. And Martine says, thank you. Blessings to all. Sandra says, thank you. Lots of love. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Sandra. But yeah, right, Lorena, I mean, like when I had the session with Beth on Monday, there were lots of things that we cleared that, even I thought were no longer there, but when I saw them, experienced them, it's like, oh yeah, makes sense, totally makes sense. But, no more. No more. So thank you. All the compliments you have been able to accept, ditto. Thank you, Randy. Good. So that was a taste of, again, part of a guided visualization, but even you can sense or feel the type of energy work that Beth does during a personal session, as well as the light language that she shared with us as well. So, a great taste a little taste of how Beth works one-on-one with her clients. You know, the questions plus this guided visualization, etc. Just moving that energy, working with the light language, bringing in frequencies, etc. So it was awesome, amazing. So if you'd like to work with Beth more, you can choose package A or package B, whatever resonates with you. Please do check them out. They're both available at alara.at/show/Beth10. And I do recommend the personal session because I feel you're going to receive more transformation more quickly with the personal session. Okay, so it's not about how quick you do it, but I do feel, you know, that when there is transformation, when we do the shadow work, when we get support with the shadow work, it's easier for us to move forward on our path, on our journey, and do our soul purpose work and just be, right? Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Beth. I'm so glad that you came on the show. I'm so glad I was able to get to know you and talk to you and have the session with you. Oh my goodness, you're so talented, so gifted. I'm so glad. Please continue doing your work because it's so needed, especially right now. It's so needed. Right?
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And you have such beautiful energy. Oh my goodness. So I definitely will, you know, ask you to come back on the show again, because I just love your energy. I love the work that you're doing, and it is powerful and transformational. And right now, you know, I've been saying this for a while now, but right now especially, we need all the help and support we can get, because we need to share our gift. We need to share who we are with the world so that they can start to tap into who they are with other people, who they are as well, right? So yeah, it's so needed, so necessary. So thank you.
You're so welcome.
And thank you for accommodating me today. Like I said, I had to bump our call an hour because
well, luckily it worked. So
yeah.
Perfect.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed being here, and it's an honor to get little windows into your lives and your beautiful souls. So thank you for sharing and allowing me to look.
Beautiful. Thank you. And yes, everyone, thank you so much for being here, for co-creating this beautiful space with us, for all of your questions. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. All right, so I will send out the recordings in a little bit. So until next time, we have another show tomorrow, regular time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, because Amanda is not going to be here. She'll be working from her office tomorrow. So then we know, you know, fighting over the, you know, Zoom space or the desk space. So it's all good, right? So we will see you all tomorrow. So until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.
Blessings, everyone.
Bye, everyone.